You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Building capability in agile teams requires a deliberate blend of approaches rather than reliance on a single method. Coaching, mentoring, and training each serve unique purposes, developing judgment, skills, and confidence through structured and ethical support. Coaching encourages individuals to discover their own paths forward by asking questions and fostering reflection. Mentoring provides guidance rooted in experience, helping people navigate longer-term growth and avoid unnecessary trial and error. Training offers the direct transfer of knowledge needed to build foundational skills. Together, these approaches form a system that balances short-term performance with long-term development. Importantly, capability building is not left to chance. It is made measurable, safe, and equitable. Programs are designed with confidentiality, fairness, and access in mind, ensuring that opportunities to grow are distributed across roles and backgrounds. With these practices, organizations can create environments where learning compounds into lasting expertise and collective resilience. Clear definitions are essential for preventing confusion and ensuring that the right method is applied to the right situation. Coaching focuses on inquiry-led growth aimed at improving performance in a current role. It emphasizes asking questions that help individuals surface options and select actions rather than prescribing solutions. Mentoring is different. It draws on the mentor's experiences to provide guidance on career direction, role transitions, and building networks of influence. Training complements these by transferring content directly, giving people the baseline knowledge they need before they can practice effectively. For example, training may teach a framework, mentoring may share lessons about applying it in real contexts, and coaching may guide someone as they test their own approaches. Each has value, but misapplying one for another can frustrate progress. By defining these distinctions, organizations ensure that capability building is intentional, purposeful, and suited to the learner's needs. Situational fit determines whether coaching, mentoring, or training provides the fastest path to improvement. If a person lacks foundational knowledge, training is essential before reflection or guidance can be effective. If the challenge lies in judgment, choosing between options, or navigating ambiguity, coaching is most effective because it sharpens thinking and decision-making. When the gap is one of perspective or career trajectory, mentoring offers insights that reduce unnecessary trial and error. For example, a new engineer learning a programming language benefits first from training. When later facing conflicting design options, coaching helps them evaluate choices. As they consider long-term career moves, mentoring from a senior colleague provides context and advice. Matching the intervention to the need prevents wasted effort and accelerates growth. Leaders who understand situational fit avoid defaulting to one-size-fits-all development and instead create targeted experiences that build capability more efficiently. The coaching stance is rooted in curiosity and listening. Instead of supplying ready-made answers, coaches ask open-ended questions that prompt reflection, self-assessment, and exploration of options. This stance builds ownership, as individuals take responsibility for their own growth rather than passively receiving solutions. Goal alignment ensures that the coaching conversation remains relevant and actionable, linking insights directly to the learner's work. For example, rather than telling a team member how to resolve a conflict, a coach might ask, "What outcomes are most important to you? And what options do you see for achieving them?" This empowers the learner to surface choices and weigh trade-offs. Over time, this process strengthens judgment and builds confidence in independent decision-making. The coaching stance transforms development into an active dialogue, fostering deeper learning and resilience because individuals internalize their growth instead of merely adopting external advice. Mentoring provides unique value by accelerating development through the sharing of patterns, perspectives, and social capital. A mentor can help a mentee avoid pitfalls they themselves experienced, reducing wasted time and effort. For instance, A mentor may share how they navigated organizational politics or overcame a recurring technical challenge. Beyond advice, mentoring often includes career navigation, helping individuals see opportunities, clarify goals, and understand how their work fits into broader systems. Mentors also extend their networks, providing introductions that expand the mentee's social capital and open doors otherwise inaccessible. This transfer of both wisdom and access helps mentees progress more quickly and confidently. While coaching sharpens reflection, mentoring anchors growth in lived experience. Together they create a balanced pathway for development, blending inquiry and storytelling, self-discovery and guided direction, personal insight and community connection. Psychological safety is the soil in which all coaching and mentoring grow. Without it, feedback feels threatening, experiments are avoided, and reflection is stifled. Leaders and mentors create safety by responding to vulnerability with empathy and treating mistakes as learning opportunities. For example, when a mentee admits uncertainty about a skill, a safe response is to normalize the learning curve and suggest opportunities for practice, rather than judging competence. Coaches reinforce safety by listening without interruption, acknowledging emotions, and guiding rather than correcting. With safety in place, individuals stretch beyond their comfort zones, take on new challenges, and receive feedback openly. This accelerates growth because learning is no longer constrained by fear. Psychological safety transforms capability building from a guarded exercise into a genuine exploration, enabling people to surface limitations honestly and pursue improvement with confidence. Capability models provide explicit definitions of what growth looks like. These models describe observable behaviors at different levels, making expectations clear and progress measurable. For instance, in a facilitation capability model, a beginner might be expected to co-facilitate with guidance, an intermediate practitioner to lead sessions independently, and an advanced facilitator to mentor others in designing group processes. By mapping capabilities this way, organizations replace vague notions of improvement with tangible standards. This clarity benefits both learners and leaders, as progress can be tracked and recognized objectively. Capability models also ensure consistency across teams so growth is not left to subjective interpretation. They serve as reference points for coaching and mentoring, aligning development goals with organizational needs. By making growth visible and structured, capability models turn development into a systematic process rather than an informal hope. Skills matrices complement capability models by mapping the depth and adjacency of skills across a team. These matrices reveal who has expertise, who has emerging capability, and where gaps exist. For example, a team may discover that multiple members are skilled in testing, but few have exposure to security, highlighting an opportunity for cross-skilling. Mapping skills in this way informs pairing decisions, rotation plans, and targeted development opportunities. It also makes resilience visible. If only one person holds critical knowledge, the bus factor is dangerously low. Skills matrices support intentional capability building by directing effort where it is most needed, preventing overinvestment in areas already strong or neglect of areas at risk. By keeping this information visible, organizations make development strategic and equitable, ensuring that opportunities to learn are distributed fairly and aligned with team health. Deliberate practice turns repetition into skill. Unlike casual repetition, deliberate practice is structured, scoped, and paired with timely feedback. Exercises such as coding katas, small refactors, or facilitation role plays allow individuals to focus on a single aspect of performance and refine it through repetition. Feedback closes the loop, ensuring that adjustments are made before bad habits set in. For example, a facilitator might practice opening a meeting with different techniques, receiving feedback on clarity and tone after each attempt. Over time, deliberate practice accelerates the path from novice to proficiency because it targets growth deliberately rather than incidentally. It also builds confidence, as individuals see measurable improvement in areas once difficult. Leaders who design opportunities for deliberate practice make learning a regular part of work, ensuring that capability grows steadily and sustainably rather than sporadically. Feedback discipline ensures that observations contribute to growth rather than eroding trust. Effective feedback is behavior-based, timely, and linked to agreed goals. By focusing on specific actions rather than personality, feedback avoids defensiveness and provides clear guidance. For example, instead of saying, "You're not a good communicator," disciplined feedback might be, "In the last meeting, several participants seemed confused about the decision point. What do you think could make your summaries clearer?" This framing keeps feedback constructive and actionable. Timeliness ensures that feedback is relevant, addressing behavior while the context is fresh. Linking to goals reinforces purpose, showing that observations are intended to support growth. Disciplined feedback strengthens trust because it is respectful and helpful, making individuals more receptive over time. It turns critique from a source of fear into a cornerstone of development, sustaining motivation and progress. Goal setting aligns individual development with both product needs and personal aspirations. When growth efforts connect to real work, they feel relevant and motivating. For example, if a product requires stronger security practices, team members can set goals to deepen their knowledge in that area, benefiting both the individual and the team. Aligning these goals with personal interests makes progress sustainable, as people are more motivated to pursue skills that resonate with their ambitions. Clear, measurable goals also provide milestones for tracking progress and celebrating achievements. Leaders facilitate this by linking capability-building initiatives to strategic objectives while also respecting personal aspirations. The result is development that feels purposeful, not arbitrary, fueling intrinsic motivation. By tying goals to both individual and organizational outcomes, growth becomes a shared endeavor that strengthens capability while advancing collective value. Observation in the work is one of the most powerful tools for development because it captures authentic behavior in real contexts. Unlike simulations or recollections, observing performance during actual tasks reveals nuances that might otherwise go unnoticed. For example, watching a team member facilitate a retrospective shows not only their words but their body language, timing, and adaptability. Feedback based on this observation is immediately useful because it is grounded in reality. It also avoids the distortions of memory, making improvement more precise. Observation allows feedback to be contextualized, highlighting strengths, as well as opportunities for growth in the flow of real work. This immediacy makes learning faster and more relevant, reinforcing that development is not separate from delivery but embedded in it. By normalizing observation, organizations ensure that capability building is continuous, practical, and directly connected to outcomes. Equity and inclusion commitments ensure that coaching and mentoring programs expand opportunity rather than reinforce existing bias. Without intentional design, such programs can privilege those already closest to power or most confident in seeking support. Inclusive practices ensure that access is distributed fairly across roles, backgrounds, and seniority levels. For example, pairing underrepresented employees with mentors can provide guidance and sponsorship that they might not otherwise access. Structuring programs to include diverse voices prevents homogeneity in learning networks and expands the richness of perspectives shared. Equity also means recognizing that individuals may face different barriers to development and providing support tailored to those realities. By embedding inclusion into capability building, organizations not only strengthen fairness, but also broaden their talent pipeline. Inclusive programs build trust and motivation, ensuring that all individuals feel their growth is valued and supported. Leader as coach boundaries clarify the distinction between enabling and directing. Leaders are responsible for outcomes and standards, but when coaching, they must avoid sliding into micromanagement. Coaching means asking questions that build ownership, not dictating solutions. For example, rather than telling a team member exactly how to design a feature, a leader as coach might ask, "What trade-offs do you see in each option, and how would you prioritize them?" This encourages reflection and strengthens judgment. At the same time, leaders remain accountable for ensuring that standards are met, creating a balance between empowerment and responsibility. Clear boundaries prevent confusion about when leaders are acting as coaches and when they are exercising authority. This distinction preserves psychological safety, ensuring that coaching conversations remain safe spaces for exploration rather than covert evaluations. Boundaries keep capability building genuine, constructive, and sustainable. Measurement frameworks provide evidence that capability is growing. These frameworks track indicators such as practice frequency, independence milestones, and quality signals like defect rates, cycle time, or stakeholder satisfaction. For example, a developer may progress from writing tests with supervision to completing them independently, and eventually to reviewing others' work. These milestones show increasing competence. Quality signals confirm whether new skills are producing the intended effects in delivery. Measurement prevents capability programs from becoming abstract or unaccountable. It also motivates learners, as they see tangible proof of progress. Leaders benefit from data that validates investments in coaching and mentoring. Over time, these frameworks embed a culture of continuous improvement, ensuring that development efforts remain purposeful and visible. Measurement provides the final layer of accountability, ensuring that coaching, mentoring, and training contribute not just to individual growth but to organizational outcomes. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Coaching program design is the structural backbone that makes engagements purposeful, safe, and effective. Without a clear framework, coaching risks becoming ad hoc conversations with little accountability or impact. A well-designed program begins with intake, where participants clarify needs and goals. Confidentiality norms are then established, ensuring that conversations remain safe and candid. Cadence is agreed upon, balancing frequency with availability to maintain momentum without overburdening schedules. Outcome definitions are articulated up front, so progress can be evaluated against tangible objectives rather than vague impressions. For example, a coaching program might specify bi-weekly sessions focused on improving facilitation skills, with success defined as independent leadership of retrospectives within 3 months. This structure signals that coaching is not casual advice but a deliberate, accountable process. By designing programs thoughtfully, organizations ensure that coaching delivers measurable growth while preserving psychological safety. Coaching agreements translate program design into personal commitment. These agreements set explicit goals, define success measures, and establish review dates for reflection. They serve as contracts of mutual accountability, clarifying the expectations of both coach and coachee. For example, a coaching agreement might include a goal of reducing defects in code reviews, with measures such as defect rates and peer feedback tracked over 6 weeks. Agreements also clarify the boundaries of the relationship, preventing scope creep or confusion about roles. By reviewing agreements regularly, progress is made visible and adjustments can be made if priorities shift. Coaching agreements transform aspirations into actionable plans, grounding the relationship in clarity and trust. They also reinforce motivation, as both parties can see how effort translates into measurable development. This practice ensures that coaching is deliberate, not incidental, and that growth is visible to all stakeholders. Observation feedback practice loops are the engine of capability building. Rather than relying on occasional high-stakes evaluations, effective programs schedule frequent, small cycles of observation, targeted feedback, and deliberate practice. For example, a coachee working on presentation skills might be observed giving short updates, receive feedback on clarity and delivery, and immediately apply the insights in a new attempt. This loop accelerates learning by keeping the feedback fresh and the practice contextual. It also reduces anxiety since improvement is tracked incrementally rather than judged in rare, high-pressure settings. Over time, the loops create a rhythm of continuous improvement, embedding learning into everyday work. This practice aligns with the principles of agile itself: short iterations, frequent feedback, and incremental progress. Observation feedback practice loops turn capability building from occasional interventions into a steady, sustainable habit that compounds into lasting expertise. Mentoring program structure ensures that these relationships remain vibrant and impactful. Programs must cover matching, scope, and duration, as well as guidance on when to refresh pairs. Matching is not only about technical alignment but also about personality, aspirations, and communication style. Scope clarifies what topics are in focus: career development, technical patterns, or organizational navigation. Duration establishes a timeline, preventing relationships from drifting without direction. For example, a 6-month mentoring program may include monthly sessions focused on leadership transitions, with an option to reassess and rematch afterward. Refreshing pairs prevents stagnation and introduces new perspectives. A well-structured program also provides support for mentors, offering resources and forums to improve their effectiveness. By designing mentoring with structure, organizations ensure that relationships remain purposeful, relevant, and energizing, rather than informal arrangements that lose momentum over time. Communities of practice scale capability building beyond one-to-one relationships. These peer forums bring together individuals across roles and teams to share patterns, review work, and develop standards collaboratively. For example, a testing community of practice might review approaches to automation, compare tools, and agree on quality benchmarks. These communities distribute knowledge widely, reducing dependence on a small number of experts. They also create a sense of belonging, as participants realize that their challenges and growth are shared. Leaders can support communities by allocating time, providing facilitation, and recognizing contributions. Communities of practice complement coaching and mentoring by embedding capability into collective identity. They make growth social, ensuring that improvements compound across the organization. Over time, these communities become engines of cultural coherence, spreading shared standards and reinforcing values of openness, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Learning backlogs bring agility into capability building by prioritizing skills in the same way product teams prioritize features. Skills are sequenced based on delivery risk and opportunity, ensuring that growth aligns with real business needs. For example, if upcoming work involves complex integrations, backlog items may include learning new APIs or security protocols. Sequencing prevents scattered attention by focusing on the most impactful skills first. Learning backlogs also provide visibility, showing both individuals and leaders where capacity is being invested. They make growth intentional, preventing it from being sidelined by delivery demands. Over time, backlogs create a rhythm where learning is planned, executed, and reviewed in cycles, mirroring agile delivery practices. This structure reinforces the idea that capability building is not separate from work, but an integral part of it, ensuring that motivation and relevance remain high. Pairing and mobbing normalize shared work as a mechanism for transferring tacit knowledge. In pairing, two individuals collaborate closely, while in mobbing, an entire group works on the same task, rotating roles. These practices make skills visible, as experts demonstrate techniques in real time and learners absorb them through active participation. For example, a senior engineer pairing with a junior on a refactor not only transfers coding practices, but also models judgment about trade-offs. Mobbing extends this effect, exposing everyone to collective reasoning and patterns. These practices accelerate learning because they embed it in real work, rather than abstract exercises. They also strengthen team cohesion, as collaboration becomes a routine part of delivery. Pairing and mobbing turn knowledge sharing into a daily habit, reducing bottlenecks and raising overall quality, while reinforcing the value of collaboration. Reference libraries support coaching and mentoring by providing curated, trustworthy resources. These may include playbooks, checklists, exemplars, or recorded sessions. Instead of learners hunting through scattered documentation, reference libraries offer concise guidance aligned with organizational standards. For example, a facilitation library might contain templates for retrospectives, examples of agendas, and annotated recordings of effective sessions. Libraries reinforce lessons from coaching and mentoring, allowing individuals to revisit material when needed. They also standardize knowledge, reducing variation and confusion across teams. By curating rather than overwhelming, libraries ensure that resources are accessible and actionable. Over time, they become institutional memory, preserving knowledge even as individuals move on. Reference libraries amplify the reach of coaching and mentoring, turning isolated conversations into scalable assets that support growth across the organization. Remote coaching practices adapt capability building for distributed teams. Recorded role plays, annotated artifacts, and asynchronous feedback ensure that development continues regardless of geography. For example, a coachee might record themselves facilitating a virtual meeting, with a coach later providing time-stamped feedback on moments to improve. Annotated artifacts, such as code reviews or design documents, allow mentors to highlight strengths and areas for growth asynchronously. These practices maintain inclusivity, ensuring that remote members receive the same quality of support as those co-located. They also create durable records of learning, which can be revisited later for reinforcement. Remote coaching requires intentionality, but it expands reach and flexibility, making capability building more resilient. By embracing asynchronous and recorded methods, organizations keep development effective and equitable, even in globally distributed contexts. Recognition systems extend beyond delivery to value teaching, feedback, and growth outcomes. Too often, organizations reward only visible delivery work, sidelining the critical effort invested in enabling others. By celebrating coaching hours, mentoring contributions, and demonstrable growth outcomes, leaders signal that capability building is part of professional excellence. For example, recognizing a mentor for successfully guiding multiple juniors into independent roles reinforces that such work is vital. Recognition can be formal, such as awards, or informal, such as public appreciation in team meetings. The key is to align recognition with desired behaviors, making it clear that enabling others is not invisible labor but an esteemed contribution. These systems motivate participation and sustain coaching and mentoring programs by embedding them into the cultural definition of success. Risk and ethics guidelines protect participants and maintain trust in capability programs. Confidentiality is paramount. Conversations in coaching and mentoring must be safe from misuse. Clear boundaries prevent conflicts of interest, such as mentors evaluating mentees in performance reviews. Guidelines also address scope creep, ensuring that coaching does not drift into therapy or unrelated personal advice. By codifying these boundaries, organizations safeguard the integrity of programs. Participants can engage confidently, knowing that ethical principles govern the process. These protections are particularly important when power dynamics are involved, such as leaders coaching direct reports. By being explicit about risks and ethics, organizations reinforce that capability building is responsible and respectful. This trust is the foundation on which meaningful development rests, ensuring that programs are credible and sustainable. Anti-patterns in coaching and mentoring must be recognized and corrected. Advice dumping, where mentors lecture without listening, undermines reflection and ownership. Hero coaching, where one person becomes indispensable, creates dependency rather than empowerment. Checkbox training, where content is delivered without practice, gives the illusion of growth without capability. These patterns waste time and erode trust. Corrective practices include inquiry-led coaching, structured mentoring with boundaries, and deliberate practice paired with feedback. By naming and addressing anti-patterns, organizations preserve the authenticity of development. Leaders must model humility and commitment to learning, reinforcing that growth is a partnership, not a performance. Vigilance against anti-patterns keeps capability building genuine and effective, sustaining its impact over the long term. Integration with performance management balances candor with accountability. Growth conversations thrive when decoupled from compensation discussions, allowing individuals to explore weaknesses honestly without fear of penalty. At the same time, capability growth informs fair evaluations and career progression. Effective organizations separate the timing and framing of these conversations, ensuring that coaching and mentoring remain safe while still contributing to performance systems. For example, insights from capability programs may inform promotion readiness, but day-to-day coaching remains confidential and development-focused. This separation preserves psychological safety while maintaining fairness. It also reassures participants that growth efforts are valued in evaluations without compromising the integrity of coaching and mentoring. Sustainability reviews ensure that capability building remains relevant and impactful. These reviews retire low-impact activities, refresh curricula, and update capability models as product and technology demands evolve. For example, if old training modules no longer align with current tools, they are replaced with updated content. Curricula may be refreshed to address emerging practices, such as cloud-native security or remote facilitation. Reviews also examine whether coaching and mentoring programs are delivering measurable outcomes, adjusting structures as needed. By pruning and refreshing regularly, organizations prevent stagnation and keep development aligned with strategic goals. Sustainability ensures that capability building is not a one-off initiative, but a living system that evolves alongside the organization. This adaptability reinforces motivation and ensures that programs continue to deliver value in changing contexts. Coaching and mentoring synthesis emphasizes fit, safety, practice, and measurement as the backbone of capability building. Clear distinctions between coaching, mentoring, and training ensure that development interventions meet the right needs. Psychological safety and ethical guidelines protect participants, while agreements and structured programs keep progress deliberate. Practices like observation feedback loops, pairing, and deliberate practice turn learning into skill, while recognition and measurement sustain motivation. Anti-pattern vigilance ensures authenticity, and integration with performance systems balances candor with fairness. Sustainability reviews keep programs aligned with evolving demands, ensuring that capability building remains relevant. Together, these practices create a system where individuals grow with confidence, teams strengthen collectively, and organizations build resilience. Coaching and mentoring become not just supportive extras, but central mechanisms for developing capability at scale. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.